Good morning. So you want to learn fighting games. In this video, I go over all the basics that you need to know about majority of fighting games in today's day and age. Without further ado, I'm not going to hold you any longer. Let's get started. In fighting games, learning how to control your character is very important. You don't want to have no control of your character, as it might end up making you really frustrated, and that's not what we want to happen. In order to deviate this, we need to understand what our movement options are. In most generic 2D traditional fighting games, you are able to just jump, dash forward, backdash, or you can run. In air dashers, or also known as anime fighters, you can double jump and air dash, meaning you can dash in the air. Sometimes in certain anime fighters or in certain traditional fighters, there's more to the jumps. Some traditional fighters allow you to super jump. Anime fighters also have super jumps. Needed to add this in the video because I forgot. Some allow you to just hop or hyper hop. It really all depends on the game you're playing. And learning how to control your character is very, very important. If you ever forget or need a refresher on your movement options in fighting games, just refer back to the tutorial. Game mechanics are very important in fighting games. Does your fighting game have an assist? Does your fighting game have directional inputs? Does your fighting game have motion inputs? Or does it have charge inputs? If you haven't already, make sure you go through your game's tutorial to understand how everything works. In fighting games, letting your opponent jump in for free is very bad, and vice versa for your opponent. Why is it bad? Is that it allows for your opponent to be plus on block. The next is they can empty jump low mix up. And lastly, they can cross you up from jump-ins. To mitigate this, we do something called anti-airs. Some generic anti-airs will be some down heavy punch, or in some cases 2H, or another way is 2DP. A dragon punch is an invincible reversal on wake up as well, so don't be afraid to use this on defense. Learning to block in fighting games defensively is very important as a beginner, as it allows you to mitigate and take less damage when blocking your opponent's attacks. Most games will have you press back or down back in order to block, but in some games, you will need to hold a button to block instead. But what happens if your opponent starts blocking? How do you hit them instead? Well, one way to look at it is to throw them. Throwing cannot be blocked. It needs to be teched by pressing the throw button or button combination depending on the game. Another way is to throw high-low mix-ups. We also call these 50-50s, basically the same as flipping a coin. They have to guess if it's an overhead or they have to guess if it's a low. If you ever get pressured while blocking, usually games have mechanics where you can get out or push your opponent off of you. Learning to punish in fighting games is very important. We want to capitalize the most out of our opponent's mistakes. Two often mistakes you'll hear in fighting games is block punishment and whiff punishment. Block punishment is when your opponent does something so minus that you can punish it. Whiff punishment works differently. Your opponent throws out a move, it whiffs, and you punish that move with your own move back in order to whiff punish it. When learning fighting games, it's best to avoid using stylish mode. Stylish mode stunts your growth, it lets you do the cool stuff, but it doesn't really teach you anything to get better at. Another thing is button mashing. Even if you aren't using stylish mode, button mashing in the standard classic mode of most fighting games is ill-advised. Going in the training mode and beating up on a test dummy is fun and all, and learning how to beat the computer, it can get quite boring. This is where you need to find a human opponent. And online is the most quick and accessible way to do this. Why play a human opponent? Well, essentially you get to learn how to beat their habits and adapt. And that's the key thing. Adapting is very important in order to improve as a fighting game player. You don't want to end up flowcharting. Having a flowchart is okay, but only takes you so far until it doesn't work, especially against players who know how to beat a flowchart. Playing a human opponent will teach you about your bad habits and help you learn to not make those mistakes again. The fighting game community, also known as the FGC. and hopefully you yourself want to join as well. If you're wondering how, one way is to support your local FGC scene. One way to find your locals is to go to supercombo.gg, which I'll link down in the description below, in order to find locals in your area. If you don't have any, that's okay. Usually Discord is available to play and find matches with other people in your respective games. My final message for you as a new fighting game player is to be patient with yourself and don't get discouraged when things get hard. The genre is hard and it hits you like a damn rock, but if you keep getting up, everything will come along just fine. It's a journey, not a sprint, so take your time. And if you end up quitting, don't worry, fighting games are here to stay. You can always come back. Hey, if you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching. And if you really enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. That way I can make more videos just like this one. In the meantime, I'm Sushin, and y'all have a blessed morning. Peace.